Okay, we'll call to order the Raymore Parks and Recreation Board meeting Tuesday, October 26th, 2021. Can I get a roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Member Bartow.
Present.
Member Collier.
Present.
Member Cooper.
Present.
Member Manson.
Present.
Chairman Troutman.
Present.
Member Casas.
Present.
Member Clark.
Present.
Member Scott.
Present.
And Member Supple is absent.
Thank you, sir. We'll now proceed with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next, we'll move to personal appearance, and at this point, I'll ask the director to take charge.
Thank you, sir. We do have a presentation tonight from Bo Helsler. He's one of our local scouts working on a Eagle Scout project for us in the park, and so he's here tonight to present his project. Turn the mic on there, bud. Perfect.
Okay, hello board. My name is Bo Helzer. I'm a life scout with Troop 1054 in Lee Summit. Although I am a resident, although I'm part of the Lee Summit troop, I live here in Raymore. I talked with Mr. Rulo a couple months ago, and we came up with a project idea of installing 5 trash receptacles around Hawk Ridge Park, around that trail there. I have 5 total. I'll be splitting the project up into 2 days, so I'll begin November 6th, that Saturday. I'll be making the forms, digging the locations out, and then pouring the concrete in. And then that next week I'll let the concrete set, and that next week, November 13th, I'll be actually anchoring the trash cans onto those platforms. The park, or Mr. Rulo is going to supply the trash cans, the anchors, and the gravel for me. I'll be supplying the concrete from Lowe's, the manpower, and then all the other major supplies that I'll be needing. The reason I chose this project was I care about the environment. I want to help out the best way I can, and this is the best way, in my opinion, as helping trash cans will help clean up that park. I mean, it's already clean though. Overall, I'm just asking for your approval for November 6th to execute the project.
Do we have any board questions for this young man? Josh?
I think it's a great idea. Do you have locations where you want to put them exactly, or what'd you have in mind?
Yeah, Steve and I have been out there a few times, and he's marked out some spots for me with some tape on the ground and some flags, so I'll know exactly where they'll be going. There's like 3 on like the north side of the dock, and then there's 2 down by the bathrooms that I'll be doing.
Awesome. Anyone else? As you know, that park needs a lot of work. It gets used a lot. We do have some trash issues, and we appreciate you looking at that park for, we have a lot of needs there. So we appreciate it. If there's anything we can do to help you, please check with Mr. Rulo, and then he'll bring it to us if there's anything you need.
Awesome. Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, everybody, we good with the approval? All right, there you go, Director.
Thank you guys. Have a good night.
So just to follow up on his project, we did as a city, actually this is a purchase by the city manager. He authorized the purchase of these trash cans, so they're powder coated, nice ones, because we wanted them to be a little nicer than the barrels that are out there. And about the time we purchased them, Bo contacted us for the project, so that's kind of how it came about. To answer your question, Member Collier, I can get you the location specifically if you want them, but we did try, obviously there's a couple around the amphitheater, and we wanted to replace the barrels, and then we put a couple around the trail just so you didn't have to carry trash so far around. But we didn't want to make it to where the maintenance crew was driving trucks all over the trail, especially behind the side where the houses are. But we wanted to have, I think so they're more close to the dock and close to the bridge, kind of end capping the area where the houses are. But it's a good project, and looking forward to get that completed.
Excellent, thank you. We will move on to agenda item number 5, consent agenda. We need approval of August 24, 2021 board minutes.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I move that we accept the Park Board amendments for August 24th, 2021.
Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Thank you, sir. Hearing a first and second, any conversation? Not seeing any at this time. We will put it to vote. All those approving the minutes? So 6-4, 1 absent, 1 abstain. 7-4, sorry. Math's not doing well tonight. Okay, we'll move on, keep moving. Item number 6, staff reports. Director?
Thank you, sir. I will ask Superintendent Gibbs to give a recreation report.
Thank you, sir. First, I want to draw your attention to the staff report that was added to your packets. I submitted the wrong report, and so there is some incorrect data. We'll send out an updated report to you that has some updated statistical data that's more accurate and not from July or so. First, I do want to point out that our summer sports or our fall sports are ending this week and next week. I think to our athletic coordinators' credit, we had more people in our programs than we thought we would have. We've had better conditions in our ball fields. We've had fewer complaints. We've had more overall attendance at our programs, and we really are proud of him for the program, and it's something that our department can really take pride in. We do have many of our programs that are ending either this week or next week, including baseball and softball. Volleyball is ending, recreational soccer, social soccer, flag football. All of those are ending either this week. Might change a little bit tomorrow with things in the tsunami that's supposed to occur across the area, so it might be rained out on a couple things. But we do have basketball registrations that are currently open, and the deadline to register for those is coming up here October 29th. I do want to say that we had a couple rentals from the company Perfect Game that rented our ball fields for, the first one was their Monster Mash baseball tournament on October 1st through the 3rd, and then they had their World Series on October 16 and 17. We're working to set some schedules set some meetings with those folks to look at our schedules for next year, as we're already starting to take reservations from different sporting groups to use our facilities for next year. Talk a little bit about ice rink. It's coming up quick. Starting next week, the beginning of November, Steve Ruler and his teams will start building preparing the facility to be built, the ice rink with the forms and everything. We are on an aggressive schedule to have it ready, not open yet, but ready the week of Thanksgiving, so that if there does happen to be anything, we'd had a couple hiccups last year that messed with some of our scheduling. We want to make sure that we have everything set and ready so that on the mayor's Christmas tree lighting on December 3rd, Friday, December 3rd, it's ready to go. And that'll be our first public open date. So, also working this year, we are looking for instructors. We're looking for different types of programs at the skate rink. We didn't do that last year as much because it was kind of newer for us, not sure how it would operate, when it would operate, how well it would be received. This year we want to look at fitness programming. We want to look at a lot more children's programs, special event nights, whether it's a Frozen night or fitness class or learning how to skate or those type of things, and then some other programs similar to what you might see at a skate rink. we want to be able to do a lot more of those this year. So working with the director to be able to come up with a schedule of hours that we're going to be open to the public, and then just the full schedule of programs that we want to be able to do. I think that's all I have. That concludes my report. Any questions for me?
Any questions for Superintendent Gibbs? Okay, well, I've got a couple notes. Number one, for you having messed up paperwork, I've got you down for work session dinner in 2 weeks. Everybody get their
Guilty, and I apologize.
orders into them. And then second, Member Manson has a heck of a, can do a heck of a figure eight on the ice skating rink, so please don't forget to use him for coaching and
He
so
can
forth.
pull off that triple sow cow like he did last year. I'm
He's incredible. It doesn't may look like it, but he's incredible on the ice rink.
Dorothy Hamill right
Well,
there.
thank you for
right
the
there in
barriers.
house.
Thank you.
Director?
Thank you, sir. Since Superintendent Rulo is not here, I'll just reference that he did submit a written report in the packet. I can answer any questions from the board if you have any on his report. I've also submitted a written report. Just a quick update on a couple things. We did host the Trucktoberfest last Friday night. There were, I believe, 5 trucks. There were 5 trucks, and best as we can count throughout the 3-hour event, well over 350 to 400 people have flowed through the park during that time. Had great comments. The band was good. So just a good event. We had perfect weather for it, so that was a good time. Also, a quick update on the Hawks Nest All-Inclusive Playground. I submitted in my written report an updated thermometer kind of where we are at. We are already including what we anticipate to be an increase in expenses, just inflation and product and stuff. So our goal is 950 instead of the 850,000 we originally planned. But if you look at the thermometer or what we've raised, we are at that 850. So this project will absolutely 100% be moving forward. Great news this week is we've received notification from Land Water Conservation that we were there were 20 out of 37 projects that were submitted from the 2020 project line, which is how far behind they are. But we were one of those 20 that were awarded the grant. We kind of knew that ahead of time, but there wasn't anything that we can say about it. It is official now. We've been given the notice to proceed. So our next step, we begin next week on drafting the bidding documents to put this on the street. I updated the city council last night. They are aware of our shortfall of the $100,000, and we're moving forward. That doesn't mean we stop fundraising or trying to secure those funds, but it will be a lot easier having a bid in place to know exactly what it's going to cost rather than just estimate at this point. So just keeping you updated on that. And finally, as part of that, there's a picture in there. Mr. Troutman and I received a donation from Community America Credit Union for $3,500 towards this. So happy to be able to go in front of those folks during that ribbon cutting for that event. And that concludes staff reports. We are happy to answer any questions that the board might have.
Any questions for the director? No? Thank you, sir. Okay, we have no unfinished business, so we are going to move on to new business. Action item A, art in the park. Director?
Very good, thank you. I do want to make one mention. Last night during my staff report to the city council, most of what I talked about was we have a pretty hefty agenda here tonight, and I made note of that to the council that, sometimes we have light agendas and sometimes we have some pretty hefty, meaty agendas, and I referenced those things that we would be talking about tonight, and several of the council members wanted me to pass along a thank you for the work that you guys do, especially since I kind of brought it up. It was in the limelight there, but I wanted to pass that along. So our agenda tonight for Arts in the Parks is the public art locations that, according to the Memorandum of Understanding between the Parks Board and the Arts Commission, we are required to provide them locations for basically art in the park, locations that we approve, that we're comfortable with, and that the board is comfortable with. Upon review and approval of this, it will go to the Arts Commission, and then it will be basically amended to the MOU. Later this year, we will do the MOU. We'll review that between the two commissions and renew that as part of that deal. But this is the first step. Just to keep you notified or up to date of what happened is Superintendent Rulo and I met with Communications Manager Melissa Harmer, and she's the counselor or the staff liaison for the Arts Commission. We went and toured the parks and selected these sites. These are locations that Steve and I are comfortable that we can keep them in a location that we can maintain them then at a high level, that they would not be vandalized as much as they would in other locations, in areas that we felt like we were comfortable with something being put in our parks. And during the tour, Melissa, obviously Mrs. Harmer, was there, and she concurred and was comfortable with all of these locations as well. So I've presented them in a list. There's also a map of where they are for your reference. What'll happen is if the board does approve this, I'll have Chairman Troutman sign this tonight, and then it'll go to the Arts Commission in November. But happy to answer any questions or to further define any of these locations should you have any. But this does satisfy our requirement through the MOU of providing those locations. I think it's a good updated version of what we originally had about 4 years ago. And that concludes staff report.
Any questions for the director? No, hearing none, I'll ask for a motion.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I move we accept the public art locations in the park system.
Okay. Great. Hearing a first and second, any discussion? Seeing no discussion, at this point I'll ask for a vote. All those in favor? Passes 8-4, 0 against, 1 absent. Action item B, Hawk Ridge Park West Side Site Plans. Director.
Thank you, sir. These, I've attached in your packet the site plans for the improvements on the west side of Hawk Ridge Park. This would be the portion of the park that includes the Loris Loop Drive that we reference a lot, trails around the soccer fields, but most importantly, the improvement to the parking lot, which we all know is dreadful right now and needs to happen. It does include a permanent structure to house a porta pot unit, so we don't have to put public flushing toilets, but we have a restroom facility there, and water for irrigation should we need it. There will be a quick coupler there. This also does include a sidewalk or a trail connecting the upper west side down to where the playground will be. When we bid this, we already know that the cost estimate is more than what is funded for this particular side of the project. So everything is included except the Loris Drive. That will be an alternate bid that we can look at and see what kind of funding we have left over or premiums on our bond. But that drive, which would be a one-way drive, is not included in the base bid. But the trail around the park, the irrigation, the sidewalk or the trail down from the parking lot to the playground at where the Hawk's Nest will be in the parking lot, that's all base bid that should be included in the final scope. Unfortunately, we ended up kind of getting the cart before the horse on this just because of illnesses and city staff and some cancellations of meetings. Typically, this would go to the park board first and then to the planning and zoning. We did not want to lose track of our timing on this, and I know that we have seen this. I've presented this to the park board several times in work session, so it was comfortable that you had seen this enough that we could go ahead and present this to the planning and zoning to get their recommendations. So the planning and zoning saw this last week. It was passed unanimously. With what I've attached is a, looking for it here. Let's see, there are 10 conditions that the planning and zoning put on our process of during construction. Those conditions aren't any different than any other project that the city would do, which is basically, for instance, the building inspector reviews all plans and does site inspections throughout the process. Little things like that. I've included that letter, which you normally wouldn't see, but since I got it before we go to the packet, I included that. So if you have any questions about that, I'm more than happy to answer that. Upon approval, should you approve this, we move forward with the bidding process. That's when once the bids are in, we'll come back to you for contract approval and recommendation to the city council to move forward with the project. So happy to answer any questions should you have any, and that concludes staff report.
Any questions for the director? Nope, seeing none, I'll ask for a motion.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I move that we approve the site plans for improvements on the west side of Hawk Ridge Park.
I second it.
Okay. Hearing a first and second, any discussion? Seeing none, we'll put it to a vote. All those in favor? Passes 8-4, 1 absent. Moving on to action item C, budget amendment, CFS engineers. Director?
Thank you, sir. Before you now is a budget amendment that staff is requesting for the design and the consulting services for Hawk Ridge Park, both the west side and the east side. Initially, back in, let's see, when did we do this? It was early last, when was this? Let me see. It was in April, I believe, that we approved this contract with CFS Engineers. And yes, it was in April. I'm sorry for that. When we approved this, this was for the base bid projects, which would basically, on the east side, would be the parking lot, the standard plaza area, and basic amenities to fulfill the obligation that we promised in the no tax increase geo bond issue from 2020. In the course of working through these site plans, which you will get those site plans later on this year, early in January, we realized that in order to be able to select a more enhanced project, we needed to provide you with site plans that included those enhancements. And now's the time to do those. So what we wanted to do and what we're recommending is an amendment to their design services that include the items listed, so that when we go to bid, those items are bid, and then the park board and ultimately the council can pick and choose projects they want to do. So if within our budget, if we want to spend a little more on the plaza, we have those dollars that we can immediately do. Or if we want to say, no, the pickleball courts aren't that important, we at least know how much that we can put towards something else. Really what this does is it gives us the opportunity to pick and choose how much we want to invest in Hawk Ridge Park based on our budget. And I think it's valuable. It's important that we have those items. It's also important to know those numbers so that we can, it might be something that we want to budget for in the future, or it might be something that the city council might want to budget for. That's at their discretion. None of those options are there if we don't get these prices and get this bid. So what's before you tonight is a budget amendment to that contract that includes irrigation of the amphitheater, which was already promised. We were going to do that in a separate project and decided it's really best to go ahead and to do it now. ADA ramps to the amphitheater stage. If you think about the amphitheater itself, there's no way to access that stage. And so this would put some 10-foot wide sidewalks on the sides that connect it to the trail system so that we can roll carts of equipment up there, things of that nature. An access road to the amphitheater. In the original master plan, when we selected CFS engineers, on the east side where Sunset goes through, they recommended putting a small parking lot and a road that connects down to the amphitheater. That access road would be for entertainers, trucks, maintenance trucks, so that we don't have to drive on our trail system. That's what this would do. The trail is fine. Ultimately, it's going to wear out and we're going to have to replace it. This would be a reinforced road that would be, ultimately, it's closed off. Pedestrians or cyclists could use it, but it would be gated off for vehicular traffic except during events or our maintenance staff. Additional architectural services for the enhanced plaza. So what we bid and what they're designing right now is just a basic welcoming center, nothing fancy, but if you remember in the original master plan that we saw, there were several options for that plaza that include pillars and lighting and all kinds of things. This gives us the figures to build, their top recommendation. So I don't know how much that would cost. Obviously, that's why we're doing this, but we wanted to be able to have that option. This would also include a restroom within that facility and a small storage area / concession area should we want one. So it's much more enhanced than just an open air welcome center. And then also included with this is the additional survey services that would be required for some of these items. So I am happy to answer any questions. The total budget for this project is $1,250,000. Our current contract is $168,682. We're asking for an amendment of $29,299 to include the items that I read to you previously, making that final contract at $197,000, $681. So that concludes staff report. Happy to answer any questions. I would make note that if approved by the board, this one would go to City Council for a two-read approval on that being a budget amendment.
Any questions for the director? So it's my understanding when a band, group, whatever, comes to the amphitheater at this point in time, they have to truck their equipment down from the parking lot versus being able to pull up there at this point in time, correct? So this solves some of that. Hopefully that's going to solve some of that problem.
This provides you the option to pay to build a solution to that problem.
Right.
Yes.
But
We can't solve that if we don't have the cost associated with it. So this
Right.
provides the design and the cost.
Which is probably our biggest problem we have right now for entertainment groups that want to use it. So, okay. Seeing no questions, I'll ask
Motion.
for a motion. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I move we accept the budget amendment for CFS engineers for the amphitheater area of Hawk Ridge Park.
Do I have a second?
I'll move for a second.
Okay, hearing a first and second. Any discussion? Seeing none, at this time we'll go to vote. All those in favor? Passes 8-0, one absent. Okay, action item D, Sportsmanship Policy Review. Director?
Thank you, sir. I'll go ahead and briefly outline this agenda item, and then if you have any questions, you can ask either myself or Superintendent Gibbs. The Sportsmanship Policy Review, this is one of those policies, it's kind of a standard operating procedure more than a policy. The policy guides what we do day to day. There was an incident this fall season where this policy became critical in how we made our decision on what to do with with that particular scenario. And as we pulled this policy out to review it, to my failure, it's been long outdated and it needed updated. And so what we did was we used the policy as needed, but myself, Superintendent Gibbs, and Athletic Coordinator Brennan, we sat down and did a pretty in-depth cut of this policy and made some recommendations to the board on how that we can update this policy and make it useful to us on a day-to-day basis. Hopefully, obviously, the goal is to never have to use it, but when you do, you need it to be current and updated. So what I provided to you is, hopefully you could read it, is you can see if you have a color version, it has recommendations in green and then again in red. That is because I did the green and Mr. Gibbs did the red. And so when you use a Google Doc, whoever's editing it shows different colors. But we were working on it together when we did this. But before you now is an updated policy. And essentially what it did was it brought us out of the 2000s, where it referenced several times youth sports commissions or youth sports groups, which what would be the old Ray-Peck Soccer Club or the Cass County Junior Athletic Association flag football. That's when, before the Parks Department hosted or held most of our youth sports. We don't have those anymore. There's no reference of those, so we took those committees out, referenced the park board. You'll see when it needs to go before the park board. On certain occasions, we do need to have that backup as staff, but for the most part, it would end with our department staff. Other things that we did update it is, as we know, illnesses basically due to COVID-19 and the enhanced protocols that we see as a society due to illnesses and stuff. We included those to make sure that we were generically keeping everybody as safe as we can keep them safe. There's an appeals process. Most of that is where the park board would come in. If we make a decision based on this policy and they don't like that decision, the appeals process, we would bring it before you for discussion. Typically in a work session, we would review that, discuss that, and you would give us guidance on how that would play out. Penalties, you can see where most of it was youth sports organizations and stuff, and where we changed that verbiage. One of the things is we were very specific about the National Youth Sports Association or the NYSCA in terms of the guiding procedure of sportsmanship. Back when this was designed, that was really the only one out there. There are several options now, and so we generically put that it would be a nationally recognized program that we would utilize for that process. The incident report form is not attached, but that is our basic report form that we use for everything, so there was no changes for that. Most of this is a policy that provides us a standard operating procedure that we would go forward. I am happy to answer any questions. I'm happy to follow through with anything that you might have on this, and that concludes staff report on this.
Any questions? Rich?
On the zero tolerance line, the item 4, section 7, it talks about, under zero tolerance, it talks about having a warning given, and then the second time you're gone. Is that, I mean, that to me that's not zero tolerance, but that might just be, if you're talking like a yellow card or technical foul, I wouldn't know anything about that. But if it's zero tolerance, warning should not be given on that.
That does make sense. We'll look at that wording.
That's just
we want to give it strength in the wording.
Sure.
And because there are definitely, and you know this, there are definitely some things that deserve a warning and other things that are they don't.
Right, absolutely.
So we'll come up with some different wording on
Just,
that.
I mean, and it can, I think it's already mentioned in the previous headings. It just doesn't fit within the zero tolerance policy.
Correct.
Is that a change that you would like us to bring back to the board for approval, or one to just make and move forward?
I'm good with just making it and moving forward. I think if you just remove the whole line item 7, I mean, it doesn't really say anything that is not already mentioned.
So as a clarification, are you wanting zero tolerance and that's it, or would you prefer to move the zero tolerance for a warning and then a removal? Which is the preference on that? Because I see what you're saying. A zero tolerance is there's no warning, you're just out. Whereas number 7 is it's a warning and then you're out. So it's one or the other. I just want to make sure we're following that.
If I'm following Rich correctly, I think what he's saying is he wants a warning and then you're moved upon, but your wording is there's zero tolerance. We're not going to bend that rule and give 2 warnings, 3 warnings. Am I understanding it correctly?
Under zero, if it's zero tolerance, then if you
Right.
use profanity or you strike an official or something like that, I think zero tolerance, you're out. Thanks for coming. Don't pass go, etc. But I don't think the warning should be given on that. In that
Okay.
sense. Now, but again, within the sports that we play, there are such things as yellow cards, technical fouls, those kind of things that are still part of the game and the rules of the game, but they aren't intended to just be a zero tolerance policy. And that's where I think that's a judgment call on the official at that time.
Okay.
Bill, what do you have?
Is it possible to have both of those in there? Just clarification on what, shall we say, there's certain conduct would be zero tolerance, infractions by play could be warnings.
Yes, we can review, under number 4, the zero tolerance, we can review all of those items to ensure that they're specific to that incident, whether it be zero tolerance. I think zero tolerance overall in number 3, the statement of philosophy is we are a zero tolerance. We are not going to put up with any of these things, but the consequences can either be a warning and then you're out, or you're just out automatically. That doesn't change the intent of the zero tolerance. It just, we need to look at each of those 1 through 7 items to make sure that they're itemized out or identified and defined more clearly. Is that better?
Yeah, that makes more sense. I just don't want, if somebody has a hold of this policy and
Right.
then we think they're covered under, or the field monitor thinks they're covered under the zero tolerance policy and they're out, and they bring this and say, no, I should have been warned and then gone out. I can see somehow that having a little bit of ambiguity on it.
Right. This might merit a review to where there's a category of zero tolerance,
Yeah.
those, and then the next category are scenarios that warrant a warning and then a final reaction or
I
a final
think that's
consequence.
probably a good idea.
So we can bring this back to the board after a revision
Okay.
with that in mind and clarify it a
Yeah,
little bit better.
I just want to make sure we're covering
No,
it before we
absolutely.
get.
Mr. Chairman, I move we table this item until the next meeting.
Okay. Do we have a second? All those in favor? Passes. 7. Rich, did you vote? I didn't see it. I'm sorry. 8-4, 1 abstain. I think I was more pulled by Greta. Will you make sure in the notes that Rich said that he has never been under any of these scrutinies? I think that's what kind of threw me in that whole thing, that I was still in shock by it. Okay. So are we going to table action item D until next? Okay, perfect.
We will make revisions and bring it back to the board at the next meeting, which I'll mention here in a minute, kind of how our meetings are going to flow.
Okay. Fantastic. Then we are going to move on to item number 9, public comment. Director.
So we do have an audience tonight, so we want to make mention or make an opportunity for them. And then they've been notified on what they're supposed to do, and there may be some questions that'll go to the board or may some for me. So you are on.
My name is Tyler, and my address is 904 Wesley. And my question is, how did you get this job?
Now, let me ask you something, Kyler. Are you asking these gentlemen who are part of the city, or are you asking the board how we got this job?
The board.
I'm going to quick say we got in a lot of trouble, and they found us, and we have to be on this board. I'm actually going to defer this question to Mr. Manson here. He's going to answer that.
Tyler, what it is citizens, we submitted requests to the city to serve in some capacity on any board or commission that they chose us for. What we're doing is fulfilling our civil duty, or civic duty, actually, pardon me. And that's all of us up here are volunteers. We're not paid for our time. We give it freely in the best interest of the city and the citizens of it, including yourself. And we're looking forward to trying to do the right thing for everybody. But the way we're appointed is, it's up to the mayor. The mayor chooses who he wants to. Usually names are submitted by council members from each ward, so each ward up here is represented. And then from that list, he can choose who he would like to see serve on these boards.
Okay.
Does that help you any?
Yes, that does.
Okay.
Excellent
Thank you.
question. Thank you, sir. You don't have to be scared. We don't bite much.
My name is Joshua Dudley, and my address is 1508 Inslee Circle. My question is if we would be able to build a tree fort as a community service project for the tree forts in recreational park.
That's an excellent question. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hand you off. See how my job is to hand off. And so I'm going to hand you off to the director, and he's going to answer that question.
Okay, so community service projects, what we do is your troop leader would contact us, and we would discuss the project. We would discuss the location, make sure that it's a project that we can maintain. Some tree forts are hard to maintain, and some are hard to build. So we would have to talk about that. So at Recreation Park, where the fort is, that's kind of a tree fort area that we work on and we try to maintain. And so if you wanted to do a project like that, we would talk to your troop leader about what we could do to make that one bigger or add to it, as opposed to build a brand new one. So if that is something you're interested in, your troop would need to contact me at my office.
Okay, and I was thinking about doing it as a den service project, but if my den doesn't really want to do it, then I would be thinking about doing it for my Eagle.
Yes, same process. For an Eagle Scout, if you guys saw this morning or earlier in the meeting, we had a young man who was proposing a project for his Eagle Scout. It would be the same thing, only this time you would talk to me and not your troop leader.
Okay.
And we would work that over in terms of what you could do, or how much it was going to cost and things like that. So all of it goes through me first.
Okay.
All right? Good questions, bud.
Thank you.
Awesome job.
My name is Lizzie, and I live 211 Johnston Parkway. My question is, dang it, I forgot.
lot of us do that too. You're fine.
Chairman, Lizzie may want updated soccer fields is what she might be getting at.
Whoa, 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 what do you got going on down there?
Hi, my name is Connie, and I am the den leader of this Arrow of Light group. Some of them are very shy. Some of them are thinking 4 years ahead before their ego project. I want to thank you, gentlemen, for allowing us to come tonight and to observe what all you all do here, and for putting up the little whispers and distractions that they created. As a parent, though, of Raymore, and having to have drive to Hawk Ridge for soccer practice twice a week for the last 8 weeks, whatever it was, thank you for voting to clean up Washboard Alley parking lot. It is horrible. It is. So, but thank you very much. We did really well of making our own parking spots. We had no problems with the timing and everything. But the road was, the ditches, the holes, they were horrible. Worse than what the street was I used to live on before y'all decided that my neighborhood was part of Raymore. So, anyway, that's it. Thank you.
Well, we appreciate you bringing the group. We love when younger people get involved. That's what this whole group's about. That's what this whole group up here is about, is the next generation and coming forward.
Yes.
And that you bring up Hawks Ridge, I don't think there's a person up here that doesn't have a smile on what that park's going to become. What it is now, but what it's going to become, and all those problems that we have, are working to be solved very quickly, as fast as we can. It's going to be an incredible park, along with TV Hannah. Rec Park has always been Memorial Park, but that's an awesome park, and we look forward to the younger ones as they grow up, maybe volunteering and helping us with things within their department and so forth. So we appreciate you guys coming to the meeting. We really do. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
All right, you got it?
Yeah.
And I won't even make you restate your name. You can just ask the question.
So, how do Scouts contact you to present their Eagle project?
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it again to the director, because this is kind of his wheelhouse, so to speak. Director?
So, to contact us for your Eagle Scout, troop leaders usually will contact our department. They'll talk to Miss Greta first, and then she'll give you to either me or our superintendent of parks, Mr. Rubo, and then we would sit down and have an interview with you. So it would just be calling our main number at our parks department. Pretty easy.
And I'll give you a little secret. Hold on, come back up. When you have this meeting, bring donuts. They love donuts. Okay, that'll help you get your project done better. That's my tip. Thank you.
Might go faster.
Okay, we are going to move on to board member. Oh, anybody else? You don't have to be shy. I got plenty of people to answer questions up here. Plenty. Awesome.
My name is Zoe, and I live at 725 South Washington Street. And so my question, what do you guys down here do? Do you just talk?
Yes.
Zoe, you're the smartest one in this whole room, because none of us know what they do. They're really secretive.
You guys,
So what I'm going to do, your question I'm going to give to Superintendent Gibbs at the end. He's going to give you a quick idea. So Director Musting, oversees Superintendent Gibbs. He's going to tell you what he does, and if he's not telling the truth, he'll know. So keep an eye on him.
It's very true. Well, I start off every day by bringing donuts because the director really likes donuts now. So what we do in Parks and Recreation, so Nathan's our director, so he's over all of us. He's the boss. He's like at a school, he's the principal. And then what I do is I work with a team of people that put on programs like the ice skating at TB Hanna Park. Or the splash pad at TB Hanna Park. Our teams also work to provide volleyball games and softball games and baseball games. And on 4th of July, our department puts together the Spirit of America fireworks show. And then if you've ever been involved with like summer day camp or any of those, the painting classes or taekwondo or a fitness class or any of those type of activities, those are some of the things that me and my staff also put together. So it's kind of a big thing, and I only do some of it. And then we have another person that he oversees all the parks. So he makes sure that the trash is empty and that bathrooms are clean and that trash is picked up and that your soccer fields are mowed and they put chalk on the fields, they make sure the lights work and and that the buildings are clean, and that somebody's there to open the doors and there's staff at the front desk. So we do a lot of things that make sure that you have fun, cool things to do in the community. Does that answer it? Any of it?
Okay.
All right.
Oh, Zoe, hold on. Come back up here. Come back up here. You don't get off that easy. So I was talking with my fellow board members up here, and since you guys have had such great questions, does your group like to ice skate?
I don't know.
So here's what we're going to do. We're going to allow your group to have as long as you bring donuts, we're going to allow your group to have, you're going to plan a party, and Ms. Greta over here is the planning guru. We're going to allow you to plan a party, and we'll take care of the cost. So you guys can have one night of a party once it's up and going. It's kind of hard for that skating rink to work when it's like 70 degrees, so it'll have to get a little colder, but once they get it up and going, we'll make sure that you guys can have a party for coming in here, okay? Will that work for you? Is that better than asking them questions about their job?
Yeah.
Perfect. That's all I wanted. Thank you. These guys. Got another one.
Yeah, I have another question.
Okay, ask your question.
So to add on to mowing the soccer fields, do you mind telling the people that mow the soccer fields to mow the practice field behind the basketball court?
We can do that. That gentleman's not here tonight, so we'll be happy to tell him. Oh, we'll tell him. We'll tell him to mow my yard. And what else did you ask for?
Huh?
Yeah, we'll tell him that absolutely. Now with mowing, there's only so many people that can mow, and so much to mow in Raymore and Parks. But these guys can definitely add it too to see if we can do a little better job on that. Oh yeah. So if it's wet, and we put a mower in there. Do you know what happens? It stays there for a while, like all summer. But we'll bring it up. We'll put it on a list. That's what we're here for. Put it on a list and see if we can make it a little better. Okay?
All right.
Great idea.
Last chance. Last chance.
This looks like double trouble.
All right, so my other question.
Hold on. I need your name and address.
My name is Tyler, and my address is 904.
How are you going to get home tonight?
I forgot. Wesley, I forgot already.
That's okay. Ask your question. You're fine.
My question is, so, when
I was like playing soccer, and my team and my coach, when we were practicing, a couple of my teammates like trip over the holes because there's like holes in the area that like dogs dig. So I was wondering if you guys could like fill those in.
Okay, that's an excellent question. And for that question, Board Member Rich Bartow is going to answer that.
I agree. The weather has a lot to do with that, and how the ground, when it's really dry, kind of cracks and the holes become bigger. Also, when you're dealing with natural grass, that's just part of the landscape that we play on. Unfortunately, Raymore does not have turf fields right now, and maybe that's in our future.
Okay.
Where do you practice at?
Well, I used to.
Hawk Ridge.
Okay, so if you practice at Hawk Ridge, the plans that we talked about tonight about the new parking lot, that will take care of a lot of the way the fields look and the way the fields are unlevel. Will take care of all that, and then we're going to put in water so that we can water those fields and take better care of them.
Okay.
So we're going to do exactly what you asked us to do. You just got to give us a little time.
All right. Got
Don't-
it.
Good question.
Don't forget the donuts.
Last question.
Okay, last question. Here we go. Make it a good one.
My name is Josh, and I live at 1508 Inslee Circle. My question is, are kids my age allowed to get part-time summer jobs? Because I just want to help out the community.
Well, that is awesome. You want to help out the community. I'm going to direct your question to Superintendent Gibbs, because his area might be where we could find something.
Absolutely. So how old are you?
10,
You're 10, so you have
11 next summer.
6 years. So when you turn 16, that is when we can start, when we can put you on payroll. But there are some things that, either you or your troop, you can start becoming involved. You can start learning about how to coach, or learning how to, depends on what you want to do and where you want to work. Because we hire coaches, we hire officials, we hire people to work in the parks. We hire people to monitor our baseball fields and to monitor at the rack. And so you got a little bit of time, but I really appreciate you asking about how you can get involved, because we hire a lot of people, and it's always hard to find really good people, and you seem like good people. So hopefully your paperwork will be coming across my desk in a few years.
I'm not looking for payment.
Oh, so volunteer opportunities. So we do have volunteer opportunities that we allow different groups. You can, generally we work with groups for like park cleanup days, adopt a park or adopt a spot or a trail or something like that. And that's something that, you can contact our department at any time and see what areas that we have available. I know that if you're doing things out at Hawk Ridge Park, we have groups that help clean that up, and we're always looking for more help out there, and in all of our other parks too.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Good deal. Thank you.
Awesome. Great questions. Okay, now we're going to move to board member comment. Director, did you have something you'd like to speak of?
Yes, sir. Before we wrap up, I did want to give a quick update on the calendar of meetings through the end of the year, just so that you guys have that, but I'll follow up with an email later on. November 9th, which is typically a work session, we will be calling a special meeting of the board. We have some action items that we need to take care of that particular night, because on the 23rd, that's the week of Thanksgiving, traditionally the board does not meet on that week. No, December 14th is typically a work session. At this point, we are still scheduled to have that work session. If any action items come up, that could change to a special meeting. We like to hold that, and if at the end we need to postpone that meeting, we can, but we will cancel the 28th, the week between Christmas and New Year's. That is traditionally canceled because of the holidays as well. So the final 2 meetings of this 2021 year would be November 9th and December 14th. Just wanted that to be on your calendars, and then I will follow that up with an email in a couple weeks when we post the next meetings. That's all, sir.
Thank you, sir. Rich, I'll start with you. Any board comments?
None at this time.
Thank you. Josh?
Thanks for coming out. It was enjoyable having you guys here. There's a lot of projects coming up, and they all look good, and I'm looking forward to having them or being a part of it. Thank you.
Ken?
I will repeat that. It was quite entertaining of the young folks come and watch this proceedings. So, thank you.
Bill?
Yes, thank you all for being here. It made an interesting meeting, and the questions were invigorating. It almost made my hair turn gray. And as usual, I want to thank the staff for an outstanding reports. Thank you.
Simon?
I'd like to say thank you for everybody that came. I mean, it's really been great, and I wish we could have you here more often, you know? So don't be shy, all right? And to you guys, I'd like to see, you know, you were talking about getting to the end of the year for the games and everything, and you did an outstanding job. Thank you.
Patrick?
Thank you, staff. I enjoy what you're doing. Keep up the good work. We really appreciate it, and we want to support you all we can. And Scouts, thank you for taking interest in your community. We appreciate you coming out and doing this, for asking us real questions. It gets us to thinking too. And keep up the work that Scouting does. It's really needed in our community, and you can really be a positive force in making our place a safer and better place to live. So keep up your projects, your Eagle projects that'll come up, and volunteering. Thank you.
Chris?
I think it's been said by everybody, but thank you guys a lot for coming out.
Awesome. And I'll finish up with, first off, thank you guys for coming out. And second, whoever wants to be in charge of it, just call into the office for that skate party. Again, we appreciate y'all coming out. It's not easy to get in front of a podium as an adult and speak, let alone a young adult coming up and asking questions, so I appreciate it. I want to shout out to Todd, Corinne, and Greta within the office. A lot of times the frontline people get a lot of kudos from us and so forth, but when I look at those people along with Superintendent Rulo's staff in the back, it makes our job look very easy up here. We have record numbers in events. We couldn't do that without you guys, and you guys taking the time to explain to people, getting the right leagues going. Superintendent Steve's crew getting the fields ready, keeping them maintained no matter what the weather is, quite incredible. So I am thankful for all those. Director, keeping it all going on a daily basis is a Herculean task, but you've done a great job at it. I'd be remiss for not thanking the city council and the mayor for working with us, the Arts Commission for working with us and making us as good as we are. And then, of course, my fellow board members, I appreciate all you guys do. At this time, I will ask for a motion for adjournment.
Mr. Chairman, I move we adjourn this meeting.
Do I have a second?
Second it.
All those in favor? Unanimous. This meeting's adjourned.